I'm Candace Bruce, and we are here for Student Affairs Sit Down podcast. I'm here with the wonderful Assistant Vice President of Student Affairs, Dr. Jackie Mullen. And I'm just so grateful that you just came and talked to us today.
Well, the honor is mine. I'm excited to be here and talk about something that I love, which is student life and the student experience at Mississippi State.
This month is all about student involvement, and you have this campaign that you are running on campus called the Find Your People campaign, which I think is really great as a senior. You know, it's really important for freshmen and people who are just getting on a college campus for the first time to kind of find their circle. So just kind of tell me a little bit about your journey through college involvement and how it kind of landed you here.
Yeah. Well, my journey in college is the reason why I'm here today. And I think that is an important part of the lessons to be learned is from my own lived experiences. And so I was a freshman just a few short years ago, and I remember distinctly going through the sorority recruitment process. I joined a Greek organization and had a wonderful experience there. And then I did, like a lot of freshmen, was encouraged to get involved in a lot of areas of campus. I will say that I applied for a lot of things and didn't get a lot of those things. And it wasn't until I started getting more involved with student government and I joined the housing staff as a resident advisor, which I really flourished in that experience because the whole purpose of it was to support people where they were. And so I immensely enjoyed that. I got involved in student government because of housing, and we ran as senators. And so the idea was that you were to help change the campus life and this landscape and to do what you needed to do to improve the experience for students. So I feel like in a lot of ways I've been doing this work since I landed on a college campus 23 years ago. And so since then, I went and worked on my graduate work in higher education and student affairs. And so all of those experiences when I was in college is definitely the reason why I'm here today.
Yeah, I think a lot of different things, like little decisions that you can make throughout college, can kind of like redirect your life. I think just like the involvement and like the encouragement you give students is really good. And I know you've seen quite a few people who are involved in like student leadership and even not student leadership, just in regular organizations. How have you seen their involvement kind of change their life or change the discourse of their whole life and redirect their life? Maybe.
Well, I understood very early on in my own collegiate experience that finding people to support you and mentor you was so valuable to the experience, which is why I would latch on to some of my organizational advisors. And they're the ones that encourage me. Have you ever thought about going into higher education and working on a college campus? And they were the ones that really directed my career and shaped where I am today because of that encouragement. And so I really feel like a part of our responsibility as faculty and staff at Mississippi State is to find those students who need that level of support. And there have been many examples over the years of students. I once had a student who was an incoming freshman student. He had gone to a really small high school, and he came into the office and said, I've applied for a bunch of things and I haven't received it, but I'm willing to do whatever. Can I just hang out? And I have never turned away free assistance and free volunteers to help with our events. And he was that student that volunteered at all of the organizations that were happening on the third floor of the Culvert Student Union. He was that student that would just show up and volunteer, and he'd pass out water, pass out ice cream, or do whatever we were doing at the time. And it was like he was almost a member of every organization organization without officially being a member. Yeah. And many people thought he was our student worker. And I said, well, yeah, he's our student worker, but we don't pay him. Yeah. He just did it, and he came in between his classes, and then he then actually became official members, because many of our student groups said it's not fair, or it seems not right for him not to be a member of our organizations. And then he worked himself up to even be the student director for one of our organizations, Music Maker Productions, and has a remarkable career in the music industry because of that experience, but also all of the experiences that he did as an undergraduate. And he never really, actually officially joined organizations. So I always kind of say, you get to create your own path, you get to create your own journey, but most of the experiences lie in showing up and be willing to do anything to, help make Mississippi State a better place and a better place for students to have an experience. And that's what we do every day, is everything that they encounter, from meeting someone in one of our dining facilities, or meeting a student as you're standing in line, maybe for at the concession stands at an athletic event, wherever it is, that's a part of the experience. And so you have to embrace those things. You can't just sit back and sort of wait for things to happen to you. You have to put yourself out there, which can be hard, right? And I recognize that can be challenging to put yourself out there. It takes a lot of courage to do that. But, part of this Find Your People campaign, the whole idea and the premise of that is that there are students who come to our campus that may want a leadership position, and they may want to do all of the things and build their resume and build their skill sets. But there are some students who really just want to find people to support them in their academic pursuits, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so our idea is that by finding a group of students, a group of people, whether that's faculty or staff or even their peers, to support them while they're on campus, that helps push them, and that persistence to graduation, which is our ultimate goal, is to help students reach their goal of why they came to Mississippi State to get that degree. And so we want to be the people that help introduce them to their people, so that, because we always say we're the people's university, and we pride ourselves on being a place that no matter your background, your demographics, where you're from, we want you to feel like you belong here and that you have a place here. And doing that is by finding the people that help you do that.
Yeah, for a long time, I think I didn't really think I wanted to go to state. So I, senior year, I was just like, oh, I guess I should apply and do all the things. And then when a lot of cards kind of fell in a different way, I just said, okay, well, I guess I got to go to state. And I was one of the only people one of my only friends that kind of came here, and I was looking for anybody to talk to. So I think you saying the first step to kind of get involved is to kind of put yourself out there. I went to a lot of different things by myself, and it was the scariest thing.
Super scary.
And I don't consider myself introverted, but even as an extrovert, I was the thought of being perceived in a certain way by myself, that can kind of mess with someone's mind. So I think, what is some sort of, I guess, first step, other than just showing up to different things? Is there a way that students can kind of work their way into a organization? Yeah. Or do you feel do you have to start off being a student leader?
No.
Right.
Yeah. I think it begins with simple things, like you're in class and you're sitting next to somebody and you say, hey, my name is Jackie Mullen, and do you have lunch plans? Do you want to go grab something to eat? Hey, do you drink coffee? Or how about a loaded tea? What would you be interested, in do? And again, it's just the same as when you were in kindergarten, right? You went to kindergarten, you say, hey, will you be my best friend? Right. Well, you just said that because you wanted somebody to be your friend. It was the first day of kindergarten, right? And you immediately go to the best friend. Well, although you may not meet your best friend immediately, that's where you eventually form those relationships. And I use examples going all the way back to kindergarten to say that those still lessons and some of those skill sets still apply now as a freshman or sophomore, first year students come into Mississippi State, is that part of it is introducing yourself. I love, one of the aspects I love about the Marine Volunteer Center is that you get to sign up for shifts to go work in community engagement opportunities with our community partners within Starkville. We have one, that's coming up, and that's our Cotton District Arts Festival this weekend, and it's really cool because you can go and work a shift with other people. So it's like you're intentionally signed up to really help and assist. So one, you're serving, but two, you're also meeting people and doing something with a common purpose and a common agenda. And so I love the aspect of signing up for things like that. That's the same as if there's opportunities in your classroom that your professor says, "Hey, I need some volunteers," or if your residence hall and your RA says, "I need some help with my bulletin board." Those are the opportunities, right? Like those one-off moments that it's not a leadership position. It's just helping out where needed. And those opportunities allow you to build and meet people, but also then build upon other opportunities that might come up because of that.
And some people I know some people that don't really want to be involved in an organization, but like kind of the group work, because every class has group work.
Everybody has group work.
Everybody has, and people just dread it sometimes. But I've met some really cool people from that when you kind of just let your guard down. I think 100%. A lot of times, especially as a freshman, like if you come from a high school where you knew everybody and all that stuff, and you come here and you don't really know anybody, you kind of have your guard up and you want to like not be too vulnerable with people. Sure. But I think the kind of group work and, talking to that professor or introducing yourself to that TA or someone can kind of help.
So my best advice when applying for student organizations is really put some thought into your application. So student leaders actually really do read the application. So spend some time and be thoughtful. If you are asked to write a paragraph about and have a question involved, don't write a one-sentence answer. And also it's okay to have somebody proofread it. I'll also really talk about that you don't have to have a long resume. And if you don't have a lot of things that you did in high school, that's okay too. You can talk about what you can offer to the organization and what you could bring to it, but also how this would be beneficial to you, because part of this process is for you to get to know them, but for them to get to know you. I think some of the ways when you're applying for student organizations is practice looking at yourself in the mirror and having an opportunity to talk it out. I write a lot of my own speeches and I write it out so that I feel comfortable in the message that I'm delivering. But also, even when I went through the interview process to be the Assistant Vice President of Student Affairs at Mississippi State, I thought about the questions that may be asked of me, and I wrote them out. You're always going to get a question about why you're interested in this organization. You're also going to get a question about what have you done that's helped prepare you for and being involved in this organization. They're also going to ask about what can you bring to the organization that you would be beneficial. And then they're going to ask you something about yourself. Like they're going to want to know more about your personality. So this is where you get to be yourself and be authentic and be real. There is no cookie cutter answer, right? And they are looking for students to be themselves. And organizations are made up of extroverts and introverts. I will tell you that going through the process is not a time to be an introvert. And while I at times love to have my own downtime and I like my own time when I have to be an extrovert all of the time, I'm by nature actually very much of an introverted, because I really like being able to sit back and just enjoy a little bit of peace, and because I had to put myself out there a lot. And so I understand that can be really tiring for a lot of students, but I also say during the interview process, this is the time to get all of your energy up and get you a little extra caffeine to help you through the interview. And then the next step is going through that process. But I also say that it never hurts that if you don't get that, don't be disappointed, because there are students, I have had students that have applied for organizations, and all the way up, they've applied every year, even their senior year. And one organization selected this senior member to be in the organization because they were so impressed with how she put herself out there over and over again, that they felt like that. And she put herself out there and said, you know what, I will be the hardest worker that you ever have in this organization. And she was, and she lived up to that. And so sometimes putting that on the line and telling people how you're passionate about it, but you can't just show up to an organization and you don't know anything about it. So do some research, learn about it, go to their events, show up. If you're applying for an organization and they have an event, help them pick up trash. If you're going to an event and they are asking for people to participate in open mic night or something, just put yourself out there, because they're going to remember that. They're going to go, wow, this person really has an interest in us, and we should give them a chance. And so that is a big part of sort of the application process of doing that. And there's also no shame in the free work, right? Being able to volunteer and do those types of things, because that also can be built upon your resume, and even work experience, whether that's part-time job or full-time work. Being able to do that also leads to experiences and opportunities involvement. So employers love to see that students work and that students can balance that, which I know can be really challenging, but that's also nothing wrong with that. It's also okay not to be involved in 100 different organizations.
Yes, you can say that again.
A lot of students think that they need to have all of these, at least 10 different organizations on their resume. And I will tell you that the best student leaders and the ones that have gone off to do incredible things, they excelled in one organization, right, and they put their whole heart into that. And so I will tell you, I get real frustrated as an advisor when I see students who try to do too much, because then all they do is very little in each one of those.
Very much.
And then they don't get to see their full potential, but then it reflects in the organization, and that can be disappointing. So I always say, put your heart into one, figure out what that one is, and go after it.
I think that is a really good piece of advice, because I think people try and kind of do a lot, and like they did in high school. I think high school involvement is not the same thing as college involvement. It is a lot of after hours, extra work on weekends, and the homework assignments have higher stakes here in college. So I'm living proof that like you cannot try and do every single thing in college. Like, right. You cannot.
Exactly. And to be an extent, there's also so many spots.
Yeah.
So, while you may have been the homecoming queen in high school, and you may have had, 50 students that were in your high school, or 100 students, or even 400 students, we have one homecoming queen here.
Yeah.
Right? And so I always use the example, we have one homecoming king, one homecoming queen, and we have 23,000 students, right? And so that's a big honor, right? But there's only one student can do that, and it's not the end of the world if that is not that position. You don't receive that position, or you don't receive that recognition. Doesn't mean that that you're not a good person, or that you're not a good leader. It's just it wasn't in the cards, right?
And you can be in an organization without having to apply for it, and all of that. Like, we have over 300 student groups, so I just feel like it's good to kind of use that as a resource as well.
Oh yeah.
And speaking of like showing your personality, we're gonna put you in the hot seat a little bit.
I'm scared.
And ask you some more fun questions.
Okay.
So the first question is, who is your dream Bulldog Bash artist? I feel like I know.
Well, if you know me and you have been around Bulldog Bash, I have worked with Bulldog Bash for the last 13 years. And if you are a music maker or production members, you know that Usher is one of my favorite artists, but also someone that I have tried to, when we joke about who we would bring, that is my person. So yes, I'm a big Usher fan. I love his music, and I love his energy that he brings to his performances. So yes, that would be my one artist.
I must say I am excited about Jason though. Jason
Yes,
is going to be really fun.
I am too, and I think the student body is really excited. I'm really proud of the Bulldog Bash directors and them working really hard. It's hard selecting artists. Music is what people feel and what they love, and so many genres in the world, right, that make up music, which is why it's really a cool thing that really unites us. And so I hope that whether you like Jason or you just like music in general, you'll come support. This is a program that spends an entire year getting ready for this one night, and student leaders have put a lot of heart and soul. Our staff has put a lot of heart and soul into this experience, so that students will have a safe and experience. It's a great collaboration with the city of Starkville and Mississippi State, and so this has been something that over 20 years we've been putting on Bulldog Bash, and so I've just been really honored to see the work of our students making the selections, listening to the students. So I think it'll be a really fun night. Lots of good food trucks. Yes. That's always fun. Some fun vendors. So come out early. It'll be in October, so hope the weather will be great. Bring a friend. If you don't, you'll meet somebody there, I promise.
Yes. So it could be Usher, but what is a song that's kind of been in rotation lately that you just cannot get enough of?
Well, okay, so I love songs that sometimes were a big hit at one time and then they've come back. So it's Tracy Chapman's Fast Car song.
Have you heard the cover?
Yes. So Luke Combs is also doing a cover for her song. And so I loved the original, but I love this new edition of it. And so, it's just good. It feels like you're just kind of in your car, the windows are down, you can just kind of sing along. And I love songs like that are catchy, but also, my life is a little crazy at times. I work a lot. I have a son. And so sometimes a song will just sort of make you kind of be somewhere else for a minute, and I feel like that's that kind of song. So, and I think that's what music does, is it just kind of, whatever mood that you may be in, it sort of changes that and makes you kind of feel like, okay, I got this.
I love the cover. It's so good. I was I did not expect to like it that much. I was like, I love that song.
I know.
And I love it.
I know.
Okay, last question. Since this is a podcast, what is your favorite thing to get from the pods here on campus?
Well, I pretty much visit that place every day, and that is typically because I need more caffeine. Right. So my Coke Zero is my go-to. That's my number one item. If I'm feeling a little extra that day and need a little bit more in my system, I'm gonna pick up some peanut butter M&Ms. Okay. And I love a good peanut butter M&M. So that's what got me through my dissertation and writing. And it gets me through especially in the afternoons. I get that little afternoon slump. It picks me right up.
Okay. I love that. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Jackie Mullen, for talking to me and just coming to sit down with us. I really appreciate it. That's all we have for you.
One last thing.
Okay.
Follow AVP Jackie online. Lord. You can't forget AVP Jackie on Instagram.
Y'all gotta follow AVP Jackie. It is a hoot and a half of a time, and it is so fun. And she always has good info on there, so I think it'll be good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to see you.
Thank you
Enjoyed
so
it.
much.